Whoa. Take two. All right, welcome to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Sludge, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, that is the best part, so make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Also, head over to theindianjesus.com for your very own official The Indian Jesus merch, only at theindianjesus.com. All right. Are you guys ready to party? I am stoked for this one. We got Levi in the building. Welcome to the party. M169 is here. Welcome. So I've actually been looking to cover Lauren Chen for a while. I really like what she does. I like how I like her view on things. But I just haven't really gotten the opportunity. But last week, Gavin McInnes, was on her podcast, and there's Morty dropping stuff. And I thought it was a great way, just as, we had a lot that was going on in the last few weeks, and then things kind of settled. And I think this is a really good way to just kind of see, all right, where are we at moving forward. Shout out to Soil to Soul. Welcome to the party. Welcome. Guys, if you cannot hear the video, as always, please do let me.
All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Psuedointellectual Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always appreciate it. And hey, reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, we're also on the podcast platform. So wherever you get your podcasts, we are also there. If you want to check us out, audio only format today. Kind of going over that before the show started, but it's been a hot minute.
Well, when I met you, you were sort of like just coming on the scene. So most of the stuff we talked about was like strategizing business. So when I see you, I think of like, I don't know, a business project, like a new shoe store or something.
Well, I do remember, I think we were in DC for CRTV tonight. I was wearing a burqa.
Yes.
And I think at one point you told me like, you'd get a lot more clicks if you showed more like leg or something like that. And I remember thinking, you're not wrong. True. I don't know if that's the way I'm going to go, but you're not wrong. So.
Well, my other advice to you back then was just say yes to everything.
Yeah.
Like keep contracts short, say yes to everything. If you're good, then the demand increases and other people start sort of vying for you. And then you just don't renew your contract. But I find young people, I'm not accusing you of this, they're all like, well, what if like this one character I come up with takes off and becomes the new Batman and I got to write that in. And then the employer is just like, this person's a pain in the ass. Let's just drop the whole deal.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've been pretty lucky with contract negotiations. I mean, we briefly mentioned the whole like Steven Crowder thing. I've been pretty lucky. I feel like.
Oh yeah, you guys remember that whole thing. Let's move forward. With them reminiscing and get
all
into.
I have had been cultivated, and I feel like it's nice. Like get there, want to talk to you. Okay, so we have a clip here. I want to bring in. I don't know if everyone watching this has seen it, but essentially White Rural Rage, and I will mess up that title at some point. It's this new book that is explaining why white rural voters are a threat to democracy. We have this clip from MSNBC that kind of went a bit viral for just the utter contempt these people are talking about with regard to white rural voters. Let's check it out.
Joining us now, Professor.
Yeah, and the Chiron reads Trump's hold over white rural voters.
Science at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Tom Schaller, and journalist and opinion writer Paul Waldman. Their new book out tomorrow is entitled White Rural Rage, the threat to American democracy. And Tom, we'll start with you. Why are white rural voters a threat to democracy at this point? You would think, as we pointed out, looking at Joe Biden's background and Donald Trump's, that the opposite would be true.
I mean, we lay out the fourfold.
Okay, I just want to stop it here. Like, there's no other demographic you could say this about. Nope. Just like, why are white people a danger? You can't say that.
Well, the big thing with this went viral initially too, because all the alt-right guys were like, see, Jews are constantly crapping on.
What? How do you get Jews from that? Shout out to Virgil Kane. Welcome all the way over from Manchester, England. Good to see you, buddy. How do you get to the Jews from that? That's one of these things that I don't think I'm ever going to get an understanding I don't think I'm ever going to get an understanding of what it is that people see when they have an issue with Jews. I don't think I'm ever going to see what they see. I just don't get it.
White people. But the guy that's talking right now is a self-hating Catholic. And this is what I always say to anti-Semites, like, don't let yourself get into this rut of the Jews are responsible for everything. Because sure, the other guy's Jewish, but this guy Schaller, he just is a self-hating white man. And that's a huge problem in the white community where they cannot wait to crap on themselves. And
we're so sorry. Oh, being white is the worst thing ever. Please, please forgive me.
The criteria he uses too to describe how they're all bigots is like they're COVID deniers. They follow QAnon. They are suspicious of Barack Obama's birth certificate. And you're like, none of these things sound that bad.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I was not paying close enough attention to have an opinion on the birther thing. From what I understood of it, it was kind of sketchy, but even still, like, you know, we want to know where he was born. Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. It's always the Irish. Welcome to the party. So speaking from a rural white woman's position, I have no idea about the Jew thing either. Yeah, I if anybody can explain it, please help me out.
I mean, they would probably say that's because we're also bigots, but I mean, you bring up him being Catholic. One of the things I did get in trouble for, and I got calls. So like over the past year, I've gotten a lot of calls from people that I work with, or people that I don't even work with, that we just like know each other and they're concerned.
Yeah, the Obama birthday thing. Yep. Big surprise.
Someone had tweeted something out. I think it was Michael Knowles. He tweeted something out about like Catholics being disproportionate in the Supreme Court. So I thought I was being really funny, and I tweeted something to the effect of, who are Catholics really loyal to? Is it America or is it the Vatican? We can't ignore the disproportionate representation. These Catholics are controlling everything. We need to address the Catholic question. I thought,
that's funny. Like, really? Of 9 people, any pattern that you're going to see is not a pattern.
Maybe that's a little cheeky and offensive, but people were offended for the wrong reasons. I got angry Catholics in my DMs, not realizing I was actually making fun of anti-Semitism. They actually thought I was being anti-Catholic, and I actually got calls about that. So, well,
your joke is a meme. It does really well. I learned about it when I was last in Ireland. Like, I forget the name of the meme, but it's like the Irish Shylock or something.
Yeah.
Indie Film called it.
It's a guy like this with an Irish flag, and they show like all these Irish people running all these hedge funds and
they're all
banks.
like, oh, I'm Irish American, and they're like 3 generations removed and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like a third of all U.S. presidents are Irish Catholic and everything.
Exactly. We need to start asking these questions. But yeah,
how Irish are you really?
People didn't like that. Is my point. But yeah, I didn't know. So which one is Catholic? The guy who's close to the camera?
Farthest away. The guy blabbing.
All right.
Interconnected threat that white world voters pose to the country. First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this. We provide the receipts in Chapter 6. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, and anti-gay geodemographic group in the country.
I don't even know who he's talking about. I don't even know who he's talking. Oh, they're still talking about the white rural people. I didn't put that together, and I'm just listening to this list and realizing that he's just, you could put that on any group. They say this about any group that they want to demonize.
We show,
all right, let's see,
interconnected threat that white rural voters pose.
White rural voters.
First of all, and we show 30 polls and national studies to demonstrate this. We provide the receipts in Chapter 6. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, and anti-gay geodemographic group in the country.
Again, imagine saying, well, black people are the most likely to commit crimes. Even that's apparently racist to say.
They're the most conspiracist group. QAnon support and subscribers, election denialism, COVID denialism, and scientific skepticism, Obama birtherism. Third, anti-democratic sentiments. They don't believe in an independent press, free speech. They're most likely to say the president should be able to act unilaterally without any checks from Congress or the courts or the bureaucracy.
Which president is trying to arrest the other one?
Dilly.
Projection.
They're also
never fails.
Most strongly white nationalists and white Christian nationalists. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
Okay, so I mean, like you, I kind of hear them say that, I'm like, oh, bass. A lot of that actually sounds really good, but I actually
the echo is there's a slight echo on her end. I believe they cleaned it up.
don't. I mean, I'm sure they cited in their book. I don't want to buy it. I don't really believe them that white rural voters are the most racist in the country.
How would you even? What metric are you even using to measure racism? I mean, I'm not saying there can't be a metric. I'm just very curious. What metric are you using to determine this person is 3 standard deviations more racist than the average black person? What? Just would love the methodology there.
Absolutely not. I want to see the question. The questions were things like, when you see I
told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you?
That's the only reasonable response to that. Well, these people are more racist than these people. Okay, how do you know? How do you know? That is one of the most powerful questions that is simply not asked enough.
A Supreme Court, or when you see a group of judges for a county and they're all black females, are you dubious of their meritocracy? Or do you think that affirmative action could be involved? Now, if you say the latter, you're a bigot and you get checked off on the bigot list. Let me see what you said. You know, QAnon. Okay, I bet the South is disproportionately pro-QAnon, but that's still 2% of the population as opposed to 0.5% of the population.
In one sense, and there's no racism meter, just as there's no faith meter either. Interesting. So, I mean, obviously, there's people who would be more racist than others. I'm just not sure how you would measure that. And so there's people that have, you know, whether in whatever you're talking about, but, you know, pick God if you want. There's people who have more faith than others. That meter, though, how it reads, you're here and you're here and you're here, doesn't exist.
2% of the population as opposed to 0.5% of the population in the North. I mean, these guys clearly don't like the rural.
She's married and a mother.
Rural South. They're Yankee snobs.
Hey, shout out to Pink Parasol. Welcome to the party. I'm not going to read that one out loud, but you guys can read, and I agree. Welcome to the party.
These guys clearly don't like the rural South. They're Yankee snobs. And when you go in with that mentality, then just like the birth certificate, instead of going, oh, you're skeptical and you've looked into this and it is possible Obama wasn't born in Hawaii. Instead of that, it's like, ain't no way that Negro Prez was the president of my country in a legitimate way. Not on my watch. I don't count him. That's who they put in their brains.
And that's just the standard stereotyping of the other side. But I'm curious, of those of you who put a goal or game over, did you have a strong opinion about the birther thing? Goal if you did, game over if you didn't. Send the emojis. Did you have a strong opinion on the birther thing, one way or the other? I'm curious about that.
They've crowbarred this in, and anyone who's actually been to the white rural South knows that bigotry and xenophobia, it doesn't really come up. Like, no, I was just saying to Anthony, they don't talk about Jews because there are no Jews down there.
All right, guys, I forgot my vape upstairs and I'm going to die. So enjoy. Dogmatic thinking is bad for society in any realm, in any manifestation. Believe nothing except that anything is possible.
I think part of that is the problem with psychology is it doesn't take into account that the human person is a body-soul composite and that you are not just chemical reactions happening at the level of the brain.
That's just wrong. Half of the problem is that it's so esoteric and like woo-woo, and especially in the last 10 years. I have a degree in psychology. The whole holistic mind, body, spirit, that is a core tenet of American psychology. And I would argue that is part of the issue. Part of the issue of how we got to the place of gender-affirming care where the child decides what's wrong with them and what should happen with them is exactly the type of dogma that you have when you're talking about this. Facts. All right, sorry about that. I forgot my phone upstairs too. So if anybody was going to send a Cash App, I would have missed it. So I'm glad we did that. All right. So yes, goal or game over. Did you have an opinion on the birther thing? M169 said no, didn't have much of an opinion. No strong opinion from Soul of the Soul. We'll come back to that. So the Soul, so I can say we're a bit prejudiced against the Yankee snobs. Yeah, well, all right. So Pig Barrel Soul is saying Hawaii didn't become a state until 1959, 3 years before Tom Cruise was born. Obama's father was born in Kenya. Did not serve in the U.S. Oh, Obama did not serve in the U.S. military. He had no real roots in our country. Why make him a president? He owns 4 mansions. What did he do for African Americans? They still live in the inner cities. 60 black on black shootings every week. At no time in our 247 year. 247 year USA history did a president leave office owning 4 mansions and a private chef. All right, so I guess Pink Parasol is not a fan of Obama. So I mean, apparently, if you didn't have a strong opinion, Pink Parasol sounds like you did. So where, and I'm genuinely asking again because I just wasn't paying attention at the time. How legitimate of a story was it when it started? Because again, we as Indie Film said, it did start with the Hillary Clinton campaign, but how seriously were people taking it? Because again, I wasn't paying attention. So hey, we got Zippy the Strange in the building. I believe that was the case, right? But again, I don't remember. And then he became president, so I was like, okay, I guess everything's right. So yeah, there we go. All right, let's back this up a little bit.
White rural South knows that bigotry and xenophobia, it doesn't really come up. Like I was just saying to Anthony, they don't talk about Jews because there are no Jews down there. It's not
just like when it comes to atheists, we don't hate God all the time and spend all our time thinking about how much we hate God. We just don't think about it. Now, I don't want to speak for every atheist because, again, we talked about that militant atheist phase. If you grew up in religion and you leave religion, there's that period of anger. But take it for what it is.
Not a thing.
And so I live in Tennessee and I live around Nashville, so it's not at all rural, but we're looking kind of out and we drive around the state a lot. It's a beautiful state, lovely people. And what I think these coastal elitists don't get about like the South is that they're actually like more black people than the Hamptons or wherever they're from. So a lot of Southerners are way more familiar with actually living, knowing, being friends with black people than someone who lives in this like little elitist academic bubble. And I don't.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Zippy. So he's American. If his mother was naturalized, then he's American, and you are a citizen. Now, talking about why you get all this stuff and all this money and all that stuff, that's an entirely different conversation that I'm definitely willing to have. But the idea of is he somebody who was legitimately eligible for president? I don't really see any reason why you would think otherwise. The elites in the U.S. are U.S. citizens. No, but that's a whole other. Definitely not. All right.
Being friends with black people.
Morty's chewing on a toy. I can kind of hear it. Let me know if it's bothering you.
Than someone who lives in this like little elitist academic bubble, and I don't think they understand that because they probably never bothered visiting any of these places they're writing about.
Yeah, the North likes them in theory, but not in practice.
Yeah,
and
not
the
in my
South
backyard.
likes them in practice and not in theory.
In my backyard.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you think there's going to be a point where, I mean, something needs to change? Because I don't know of another population where you can constantly just badmouth them. You're writing books about them. White rural rage. Could you imagine a book?
Black urban rage. That is the analog to that. Black urban rage. Talking about how horrible it is to live in the inner city. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I know a lot of people who would.
Black urban rage. It would not go over well. Do you think there's going to be anything done about this? I mean,
I think these guys screwed up. There was a book, Revolt. It wasn't called Redneck Revolt, but it was another book all about Southern voters, and it did really well, and it was tempered. And what they discovered, they assumed that that's what we're talking about right now. But it's another book like that. It's a little older. There's an R there.
It has a 2.3 star rating on Amazon.
Well, I don't know what she's talking about, but Redneck Revolt. It says putting the red back in redneck. Redneck Revolt was founded in 2016 as anti-red. What? I don't know what this is. But I'm so happy we stumbled upon this. What are we? Is putting the red, which typically means conservative, right wing, whatever, back in redneck. Okay, sure, do your thing. In 2016, an anti-racist, anti-fascist community defense formation. The history of the term redneck is long and complex. One of the earliest recorded uses of terms comes from the 1890s and refers to rednecks as, quote, poorer inhabitants of the rural districts. Men who work in the field, as a matter of course, generally have their skin burned red by the sun, and especially is this true of the back of their necks. In 1921, the term became synonymous with the armed insurrection against the state, as members of the United Mine Workers of America tied red bandanas around their necks during the Battle of Blair Mountain, a two-week-long multiracial labor uprising in the coal fields of West Virginia. Today, the term redneck has taken on a demeaning connotation, primarily among upper-class urban liberals. You guys sound like upper class urban liberals, but anyway, who've gone out of their way to dehumanize working class people, working class and poor people. Terms like white trash and hillbilly comes signify. What are we looking at? I am very I'm not getting a good, like, give me principles. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but like, oh, okay. I was saying that I thought they were saying that revolt against organizing principles. Full resistance. All right, resistance. Genocide, enslavement of other peoples, overall protectors of the ruling class. Well, white working class participation in state paramilitary organizations, formations like the Ku Klux Klan, the Minutemen, U.S. Armed Forces, and the Council of Conservative Citizens has undermined the struggle of freedom for freedom among all people. So it sounds like the woke, not woke. This is interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna have to put a pin in this because I don't know how to take this. There's a lot going out. Shout out to Pam over on Instagram. All right, what do we miss over here? So the Soul said bingo. There are so many people of all skin colors down here. We don't think of it. It doesn't come up in daily life. Only city crime statistics, unfortunately. But that's another subject. Yep. Zibby said, Virgil says Obama was a blonde white woman. I can see it in his behaviors.
Stupid.
Obviously. Okay. Right over my head. Now it makes sense. Thank you. I was missing that one piece. Okay. Wow. I was thrown so far off by putting the red back in redneck and we're anti-fascist, anti-racist. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Shout out to Dylan Soup in the building. Welcome to the party. How are you doing, brother? What do we got here? The Oscars telecast is the 4th lowest ratings in history. Yeah, I don't really think we need to boycott the Oscars when we're just not watching them anyway. But yeah, fuck the Oscars. Zippy said Arabs are smart. They wear towels to stop becoming rednecks. Sadly, the heat fried their brains for jihad. This is humor. No snap on snake. You'll break your ankle. Good one. All right. Well, let's dive back in here.
That no, that's what we're talking about right now. But it's another book like that. It's a little older. It has
a 2.3 star rating on Amazon.
It's like Redneck Revolt or something like that. And I think they're trying to mimic that book. The thing about that book was it came in with an open mind and it didn't have biased results. So they went in there assuming that they were going to investigate the South and mostly Trump voters and discover that they don't like Negroes and Jews and they want ladies to be kept at home. And they discovered something that didn't go with their hypothesis. So they followed the truth. And the truth was they were shocked to see guns was like the number 2 thing that they were concerned about. But the number 1 thing they hated about Obama, this book was a while ago, was that he kept apologizing for America. And he kept apologizing to the global community. He made NASA all about, what Muslims have done for space travel and stuff. And that really pissed them off, that Obama wasn't patriotic and proud. And that had never occurred to them. So they were surprised and shocked to discover that. This isn't that book. This book is, I have a hypothesis, and I'm going to snowplow forward and prove to you that rednecks are bad news and they're evil and they're Christian nationalists, whatever that means.
Except I forget their name. What was it? What was their name? That we just had them up. The red putting the red back in redneck.
I think it's kind of ironic that this is coming from the side, and I'm painting these guys with a very broad brushstroke, but they are literally doing everything they can to remove Donald Trump from the ballot, and they are accusing other people of being threats to democracy.
Yes.
I'll come out and say I don't like democracy. I am not in favor of one vote, one person. I think it's a really bad system. But at least, like, if I were to pretend to like democracy, I probably wouldn't try to get like Joe Biden off the ballot so people could not vote for him, even if they wanted to.
Prediction. I don't understand how there's not more like intelligent liberal people like pointing that out. They constantly our democracy, our democracy, our democracy, our democracy, and like it's y'all, it's you.
Yeah, and that's pissing off a lot of people too. I think that's going to start getting a lot of dudes off the couch, a lot of dads who wouldn't normally have voted. It's making people mad. And just like this book, I think this book, the goal was to show the North and to show voters how dangerous rednecks are. And it had the opposite effect. It made everyone hate the North and the liberal snobs more than ever, and made them vote more. They keep ruining their brand, the left.
I mean, I don't know when the last time they had a good brand was. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I mean, under Obama, at least first term Obama, they were loving it. They were loving him. And that was it. That's when it was cool to be on the left. And, Republican was a bad word and all that stuff. So at least, let's call it 2010. So at least in the last 14, 15 years, things have dramatically shifted. And I think there's just too many people who are not used to that rate of change and assume that the people who are saying, yeah, it's really changed this much, they must be like, oh, you don't know much about politics. That's just the extremes. Like, no, bro, like for real. I mean, this is what's happening.
Conservatives don't have a good brand either. I think the only reason why you might argue maybe it's becoming a little more trendy isn't necessarily because conservatives have actually started doing better. It's mostly because the left has gone so crazy and cringe where it's like, okay, well, comparatively, I guess the right is a little bit better. But it's interesting to me because it comes on the heels of some really, like the left demonized rural South conservative, no, and these are the greatest evils you'll ever see. But simultaneously, when it comes to actually like bad news cultures, this is on the heels of that woman in India who was gang raped by 7. Like, they don't have much to say about that because we're all about cultural relativism. Okay, I want to get your opinion on that issue, but first I do want to say
real quick. Zippy says
a big
well, what do we got here? Hold on. Okay. Zippy says the only reason they loved Obama for 8 years was because of Bush. Drink Bush Light for 8 years, you'll be pissed and or crazy too. A full bladder will do that. That doesn't make sense. But I mean, even regardless of the reasoning, the fact is that the left had an identity. The left had the anti-establishment, a vibe, a personality. There was still all the bullshit, but at least it was rooted in freedom and liberty, and that going too far in some areas, but at least that was the basis. Now it's just give the people who we like what we want because we want it. That's all that leftism is now.
Evan, have you seen that news story about the woman in India? Their vloggers, her and her husband got attacked.
Yeah, so the only excuse he says.
I have not seen too much about this story, so if you guys don't know, give me a game over in the chat, and we'll look through it.
Is they say he had a knife to his throat, but 2 hours of raping your wife. What the hell's the matter with you, bro?
So the most that I heard was like, see, I don't even know what to look for. But the most I heard was that it was an Indian couple, and there was people that did that to her and tied the dude up, and he was there. And it was multiple dudes, and they had knives or something. Do you guys know about the story? Somebody let me know. So give me a yes or a no or a something.
Yeah.
He said he got hit in the face with a helmet. Okay, now you have to beat up people when you have no teeth.
I think I did see a lot of men, and I can't pretend what I would do in this situation. I did see a lot of guys saying, okay, if 7 guys are going at my wife, if I have a knife to my neck, I'm either getting out or I'm getting my throat slit. Like something's happening. I'm not just sitting and watching it for 2 hours.
Okay, hold on. All right, so I got something here. So let's see. So it was a Spanish tourist. Yeah, that is what we want. I said, this is what we want.
Hooded and bound, 5 suspects arrested on Tuesday joined 3 men detained earlier, all accused of the gang rape of a Spanish woman in the eastern Indian state of Jharkhand. Fernanda had been travelling across India by motorbike with her husband, sharing their adventures on Instagram. At the weekend, instead of their usual travel videos, the couple made a post since deleted, telling their followers.
So that's her. Hold on, let's get back.
Instead of their usual travel videos, the couple made a post.
This is them. So apparently, they were in a Spanish couple. They were in India, and then what did they say? 7 or 8 Indian dudes tied them both up, or paid her, like one after another, and homeboy over here did nothing. He did nerfing.
Post since deleted, telling their followers that they had been attacked by several men who they say violently assaulted the couple and raped Fernanda.
We have arrested all 8 suspects involved in the incident. Now they must be punished according to the law. For this, we have sought assistance from the forensic team and the Criminal Investigation Department. Additionally, we are using all the scientific evidence gathered by the forensic lab to build a strong case against them.
On Tuesday, Fernanda posted a written message to Instagram welcoming the arrests and thanking all those who supported her and her husband. She wrote, "Everything has gone very quickly. The police have been tremendously efficient. I ask for justice for all the women who also go through this, that it is not just me. We all deserve the same." That justice may be slow to come for most women and girls in India. Fernanda's case is just the latest in a long history of violent and sometimes fatal gang rapes in that country that have caused outrage there and worldwide. Previous high-profile sexual crimes have sparked protests, resulting in some changes like increased sentencing. But rape is epidemic in India, and it's a crime that largely goes unpunished. According to the National Crime Statistics Bureau, 31,000 rapes were reported countrywide in 2022.
Yikes.
But in the past, the Bureau has found that up to 71% of rapes go unreported, and other studies have put that figure as high as 99%.
I mean, it makes sense. If they're not, I mean, it's already something difficult to prove in general. Like, if we have the best case scenario in terms of the case being proven, it's still a very difficult thing, even with our courts. So over there, number one, if they don't have the procedure to be able to prove this, then it's probably very easy that all the cases that are reported, they just say they just say nope, can't prove it. Bye. Shout out to Soul of the Soul. Thank you so much. You have a good one. Yeah. So that is what they are talking about. So I suppose the flaky fakeness of the left hit critical mass during Obama's term. It spawned the housing crash. Indeed. All right, so let's go back.
I see a lot of guys saying, okay, if 7 guys are going at my wife, if I have a knife to my neck, I'm either getting out or I'm getting my throat slit. Like something's happening. I'm not just sitting and watching it for 2 hours.
Yeah, so that's really that's the conversation. Is that over the course of 2 hours, guy did nothing. Now he was tied up, according to stories that I've heard. But like, can't do anything. I don't know. So
Hours, you're just like this, like, oh, well, you guys, come on, man. Serious? Another one? Are you serious? That's like 5. Please tell me you're not going to do all 7. Are you nuts? Come on, guys.
And what got me is that after the fact, they did a post on, I think it was Instagram, the one that's now gone viral, where they're both sitting there justifying it's not all Indians, let's not be rude about this culture. The man is saying this, meanwhile he's sitting next to his wife with a bruised face who's just been violated by 7 men. And it's like, this is so disgusting. And
so not only did he sit through all that, but now he's coping for Indian people. Hey, hi. I'm American first, but I'm also of Indian descent. It's cool. It's cool. You don't gotta cover for Indian people who are paying people. Let them take that on the chin. Worry about your girl.
It lacks any form of masculinity. I don't know how they didn't feel ashamed posting. I mean, mainly the husband, but also like if you've personally been violated, I feel like it's okay to say, hey, F this country. I want nothing to do with this country.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I personally would not be offended.
That's fair, I think.
Well, I feel like I should be allowed to be Islamophobic. I was here on September 11th. I watched the planes go into the towers. I saw the second.
Hey, shout out to Terry Razor. Welcome to the party. Adorable little dog in your profile picture. I got my co-host right here. Said, love the walk away video. Thank you so much. And welcome to the party. Good to see
allowed to be Islamophobic. I was here on September 11th. I watched the planes go into the towers. I saw the second one make impact. I should allow it to be a little irrational. We forgive Howard Stern for hating Germany because he comes from Holocaust survivors. Can I get a pass for being dubious of Islam? And as far as this goes, this has happened a million times.
I mean, the answer is no. The answer is no. That it doesn't matter what people are. That doesn't change the fact of the matter that not all of these people are doing it. The point that he's making, though, is time and a place. Time and a place. Maybe apologizing for Indian people is not right after a bunch of them gang RP'd your wife. Just a thought.
These people go to third world countries and they go, I'm going to show you.
Not mutually exclusive.
How cultural relativism is what we need to follow, and we're all the same at the end of the day. And then the truth blows up in their face, and they still stick to that dumb hypothesis. It's sort of like the previous segment where they have an hypothesis and they won't be stricken from it. There was this woman, Pippa Becca, and she was a feminist activist in Italy.
Oh, God.
And she said, watch this. I'm going to wear a wedding dress hitchhike over into the Muslim part of town. I'm going to go to Turkey, Istanbul, whatever.
This is like the Queers for Palestine. Who wants to tell them?
Keep going east from Italy, and I'm going to show you how safe it is and how fun it is. Not only was she raped to death, she was dismembered, and then they ignited her torso and burnt that like a marshmallow.
I mean, if I had a it just fits. It's not funny. It's just precisely as ironic as you expect it to be.
So she ended up proving the opposite of what she went to prove.
And I feel like, I mean, it's almost a consequence of the West being so safe and so insulated that such retarded ideas are allowed to flourish. And I say that
Queers for Palestine.
As someone like I grew up in Asia. I grew up in a very safe, part Hong Kong, Singapore, and such. But I had a lot of friends in schools who were from countries like India, and I would hear their stories, the way they talked about things. Like it's not xenophobia or racism to say yes, objectively these countries are less safe, and I feel like it's only like the richer and more insulated and liberal you are, the less you are familiar with that reality.
Yeah, it's the just take our country. It's the white liberal elite people who are super disconnected. You're Bill Maher types. What crime? Okay, we don't have any crime in my neighborhood. It's like, yeah, bro, we're not talking about your neighborhood. We're talking about America in general. And America in general and your neighborhood do not reflect one another. It's just, I mean, people are so out of touch, because the left media is not telling the LGBT people about how they will be deleted when they go to the Middle East. Ooh, maybe that's the plan. Jokes. We joke.
And
that's what I keep saying to my daughter. I'm like, trust your instincts. If you feel like you're safe in a zone, walking home, walking to a parking lot, wherever, go with your gut. And
no, it's safe. I swear. Those are just a bunch of underdeserved, oppressed people.
Don't worry about how that could be interpreted. Yeah. If you feel like it might make you look prejudiced to cross the road, then be prejudiced and
I'd rather
cross
be
the road.
prejudiced than dead, like 100%.
Rather be prejudiced than dead. Can we get a dilly on that? The fact that it's come to, well, I have to decide, do I want to hurt other people's feelings or do I want to die? When that is a real choice, things have gone very, very wrong.
I don't care.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of Americans would agree. I think a lot of Americans would rather be dead than racist.
Yep.
Even like with the drag queen story hour, they're happy to sacrifice their kids to groomers just to be perceived as woke. So we're becoming in our modern atheism, in our rejection of Christianity.
Here we go. Here we go. It's all about the lack of God. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have values. It's whether you believe in this one particular thing. All right, before we get there, Terry is saying the bigger question is the definition of words like Islamophobic. Oh, you are in the right place, Terry. This is what I like to call semantic obfuscation. She said, much like Terry said, much like racist, homophobe, bigot, and Nazi, they use them for any and everything they don't like. And now they've lost all meaning. I talk about this non-stop. This is one of the major tools of the left, semantic obfuscation. And it leads to something we call linguistic creep, where now you think that a thing is racist. You think that a thing is bad because it's called racist, when it has no bearing in race or morality. And now you get to take the moral high ground. Well, you did a racist thing and now I'm better than you. But what does that even mean? And it's all effed in all the way around. Shout out to Giorgio. Welcome to the party. So you shouldn't have to believe in a God in order to have authority to say something is wrong. That is, I mean, that is a very telling sentiment. If you think that, and I know, I'm sorry, those of you who are Christians, if you think that without a God, you can't tell what is right from wrong, that seems like a problem with you, because I haven't had a God for 20 years now. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job at figuring out what's right and what's wrong and what's good and what's evil. I'm not saying that your God has it completely wrong or completely right. I'm just fully with Giorgio here. Welcome to the party, brother. Welcome. The catch-22 of religion. You have no value if you do not believe in my God. Yep, exactly. All right, let's see what he's saying about modern atheism.
So we're becoming in our modern atheism, in our rejection of Christianity, we're becoming a pagan culture. We sacrifice ourselves to the woke gods, whether it's getting raped in India or having our children be read to by a guy with his nuts hanging out.
But how? Like this is the semantic mistake that everybody's making. You try to make it about atheism, about the lack of Christianity. It's the lack of values. It's the lack of values, because they're very religious in India. And what are we talking about? A gang RP. So clearly, with what did they say? 300,000 a year and 99% unreported. Exactly, Terry. Control the language, control the people. That's it. It's that simple.
Yeah. Or having our children be read to by a guy with his nuts hanging out.
And that's I've tweeted about it before, but there've been people are saying that there's like an echo on your end. I'm not sure if you guys are able to.
Oh, you're live now?
Yeah.
That's not good. Check.
Picture of that person, and it's just like literally who's
now you made it worse
on preschool as you can imagine, and then they show a picture of that person.
I'm sure
they
literally I know they fixed
the most pedophile looking man I've ever seen in women's If I hear of whatever childcare worker who's convicted of the most terrible things you can imagine.
Georgia said, I've had this creepy thought that do we have to invent religion as a noble lie to keep the general population in line? And that, I think at this point in my personal journey, this is the one of the most central questions, because it's very clear that, at least personally, I don't need a God to be a moral person. There's many other people that you can find, just out in the world, if you look on YouTube, wherever, that are living moral lives without a God. But is it possible that only some people are capable of doing this? Now, I don't want to take that dare I say arrogant position, because then that's saying, oh, I have a skill that you don't. I can do this without any help, but you need the help. But maybe you need the help. Maybe you do. And I don't know if it is the case that we do need this noble lie. I don't know. I definitely have to think about my entire life, because everything that I know comes from the axiom that truth and goodness are at the very least tied together. If they're not the same thing, they're at the very least tied together. And if the existence of God is not a true thing, I don't know how religion could be the best thing for humanity on eventually on a long enough timeline. It has to be that religion is antiquated if it's not true. And if it's just the noble lie, then I don't see why we have to keep that lie and why we can't get to whatever the truth is. But maybe we are. I really don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Perfect example. My dad had a patient who was just coming out of an addiction and found God and helped them. And my dad wanted me to bring him on the channel and talk to him. I'm like, no, why would what? I don't want to bring him on the channel. What am I going to talk to him about? Hey, so that thing that saved your life? I think it's full of shit. Like, no, let him live his life. I want him to be happy and healthy. I don't want to take religion away from anyone. I just don't think it's the truth. Hey, shout out to Michael McIntyre. Welcome to the party. Coming in hot with the $5 super chat. And of course, every donation comes with a treat for my co-host, Morty. Thank you, sir. What did he say? Michael says pattern recognition is about survival. When I was younger and idealistic, I ignored situational awareness and got pistol whipped. Go with your gut. Bingo. Well said, sir. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so very, very, very much.
Daycare, whatever, childcare worker who's convicted of the most terrible things you can imagine, and then they show a picture of that person, and it's just like literally the most pedophile-looking man I've ever seen in women's clothing.
Again, they will clean up the echo. I don't know what they did, but they'll clean it up.
If I had to imagine,
Yowza.
That's quite, if I had to imagine what a pedophile would look like, it would be just a photo of that person. It's okay, parents, to say, hey, I don't want the weirdo in a dress, the man with a clear fetish looking after my kids. Like it's okay to be that person. It's okay.
I know a guy who's trying to get a position as deacon, and one of the tests is they show him a picture of a bunch of dudes, and one of them is a pedophile, and you have to spot him. What? I'm dying to see this picture.
Wait,
I'm not sure if he's telling a joke or if he's being serious. You have to tell who's the pedo just by looking?
What? Sorry, could you say that again? I'm not sure
I know a guy who's applying to be a deacon. Can you hear me now? Let's make sure the audio is good. And
there we go.
One of the tests they do is they show him a picture of a bunch of people. I don't know if they're Boy Scouts.
Have you guys heard of this before?
Them's a pedophile in the photograph. You have to spot the pedophile, and it's a way to test to see if your instincts are good or if you're a pedophile.
Okay, so what does the pedophile look like?
So before we even get there, if it's to see if you have good instincts or if you're a pedo, how do you tell the difference? Is pointing out the pedo good because you can tell? Or is it bad because it means takes one to know one? I don't think I get it.
I was asking the guy about it at my last meeting, Knights of Columbus, and he was like, whatever, it's just a guy. And then everyone's making jokes. And I'm like, no, stop the jokes. I want to hear what he looks like. I want to see this photograph. I want to see how you fail this test. Because you're kind of admitting that physiognomy is a thing, and you can spot these people.
I mean, I agree.
What is that word? Physiognomy. Let's do a Google. Did he make that up? I always do that. I always pull it in front of the thing so I can't see it. Oh, it is. Physiognomy. A person's facial features or expression, especially when regarded as indicative of character. Where am I? Character or ethnic origin. Interesting. Learn something new every day. Let's grab some of these comments here. Terry said, I think he could mean that USA was based on Judeo-Christian values, and they're trying to eradicate any and all values, regardless of your faith, and destroy the idea of objective good. So it's not necessarily you have to believe in a God, more so just have values to begin with, which just happen to be Judeo-Christian based here in the US. I completely agree. The problem is that message is too easily misconstrued into the anti-atheist. You must believe in God. That message. It's too, and you have to remember how easily triggered some of these atheists are. Whether legitimately because they grew up in a lie and now they're triggered that they were lied to, or because they're beta leftists, one way or the other. They're getting triggered by the wrong words. And so my point is that we have to be very, very particular with the words that we're using so that we don't push people away who do actually have these values, but think that they're not welcome because they don't believe in God. That's a big issue. So he says, is self-discipline or self-inspired guidelines truth? Do you need truth to live with humility and grace to be respectful of others? Not good questions. Shout out to Boom Cooter. Welcome to the party. Said way too much makeup, so unnecessary. Gavin is pretty enough to just go on natural. Love it. Good one. Welcome to the party.
Because you're kind of admitting that physiognomy is a thing and you can spot these people.
I mean, I agree with that. I do think it is a thing, but I'm just surprised that would be like they would enshrine that in a test. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Saying that I'm echoing. Yes.
Saying the quiet part out loud.
I am echoing, but on Gavin's end because they're using speakers. Okay. I think we're good now though.
Well, no, I want to fix this audio before we move forward. There's nothing worse than an echo. And I don't think it's the speaker.
Hear it anymore. Agree?
This awkward bump in the conversation. The book I was talking about way earlier was called, I sent it to you, Ryan. It's called The Great Revolt. Inside the Populist Coalition, Reshaping American Politics by Zito Salina and Todd Brad Hess. And that book I think is what Brad Todd and Salina Zito. That was done by a Republican and a Democrat. And I think they did a good job of showing the split between North and South, and they were very amicable towards the South. And that's how those previous guys screwed up, is they clearly hate the South. But yeah, this concept of cultural relativism, like there was another woman, a Canadian Somali, and she's like, Somalia is getting a bad reputation. I'm going to move back there and do a vlog, an Instagram account of how fun it is there. So she's at all these cafes and having a great time, and she's raped and murdered.
Of course she is. Like, there's bad people for different reasons everywhere. And that's okay if some of those people who are bad look the same. That's okay. Libby said, is truth as important as respecting others and letting them be within limits? Is truth as important as respecting others? I say yes. Because the how you treat others should be driven by reality. It should be driven by how people deserve to be treated based on how they behave. But Terry brings up a good question of who decides truth, and there is no who. Truth is truth. There is only one reality. As far as the laws of physics dictate, where outside of that, we have we could all be brains in a vat, but on some level, we are all connected by remembering yesterday and the day before and the day before, a stream of consciousness that we all believe the same things happened. If I tell you, hey, Joe Rogan did a podcast yesterday, we're all in the same reality where that happened. So within that reality, nobody needs to decide anything about truth. That which exists either exists, or things either exist or they don't exist. Things are either true or they're not true. There could be nuance, there could be stuff like that. But if we're talking about, I agree, there's objective truth. But nowadays, we have people telling us men and women are other stuff like that. Yeah, I can take it to a level where I don't actually believe that there's objective truth. I don't believe that is a thing inherent to the universe, like a law of gravity or something like that. I don't believe truth exists in that way. However, I believe that we again those laws, the laws of physics, the laws of just all the shit that makes us in the same reality, that stuff exists. Shout out to Dietrix. Welcome to the party. Said a 6'8", 30-year-old man did Taekwondo for the first time tonight and broke a board on the first try. I highly recommend. If you're too old to try something and if you think you're too old to try something new, you're wrong. Just do it. Dilly to Dietrix. Good shit, man. Yeah, I've been trying to find the time to sign back up to do BJJ Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's just there's just so much stuff to do. But I appreciate that you got yourself out there doing the damn thing. Welcome to the party, brother. And so he says, if you cannot respect others within limits, then no matter the truth, you will ignore it because you refuse to respect anything. Yes, technically, but if we are operating on truths, the truth is, if you're a dick to people, they're not going to want to help you. The truth is, if you smell bad, people aren't going to want to be near you. And so I wouldn't not respect others because I know that respecting others is advantageous to me. So even without truth or non-truth or God or non-God or whatever, we're getting outside of what we're even talking about with that. All right, let's dive back in here.
It is there. So she's at all these cafes and having a great time, and she's raped and murdered.
What do we got here? Virgil says, my main area of interest is astrophysics. What has always fascinated me is the block universe theory that all reality, including the future, exists now. Kind of like destiny, your death has already happened. Your time car hasn't gotten there yet. I make sense of this by thinking of the universe in a thought experiment of mine as a road with a beginning and an end, and time as a car you drive through, but no reverse gear. And the faster you go through, the less time. Yeah, I mean, I saw shit just like this when I took acid, so I can't say it's not true.
It is there. So she's at all these cafes and having a great time, and she's raped and murdered within a day. Stop pretending that the West isn't the best.
Stop pretending that the West isn't the best. Western Chauvinist, indeed I am. Terry said, I miss the days where we were all allowed to disagree with each other and just be cool with it. I said, shit, me too, which is why I started this channel. I'm going to get a bunch of people who disagree with each other, and somehow we're all a community who love and appreciate each other. And now I'm glad that you are here. Punkuter said, integral theory is an excellent intellectual framework for integrating and analyzing different varieties of truth. Subjective, objective, macro, micro, individual, and pluralistic. It is rad. Word up.
Well, I mean, I will push back there. There are countries that are way safer than America specifically. So I think it's kind of...
He who would... Oh, shit. What is it? He who would sacrifice safety for in the face of liberty deserves neither. I forget what the line is, but you can't say... Yeah. He didn't say the West is the safest. He said the West is the best. Liberty, it includes danger.
That are way safer than America specifically. So I think it's kind of...
Safer, not better. Singapore's no fun.
Singapore's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. What's your favorite dive bar in Singapore?
Oh, no, I'm anti dive bar. That is
okay. Well, then you can't really talk about fun in any context.
No, dive bars are the lifeblood of a culture.
No. Oh,
all right. Whoa. Goal or game over, guys. I want to see your emojis in the chat. Are dive bars good or are dive bars bad? Goal or game over? Let me see those emojis.
So I love Singapore because it's clean and orderly, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. It can still
really?
be very fun. I mean, there's Sentosa, and I grew up, so when I was living in Singapore, I was like 13 or 14. And what's amazing about Singapore is that it's a great place to be as a tween or as a teen because it's so safe. And so my parents could actually feel comfortable with.
And that's really the only two options. That's really the only, this is a true dichotomy. Dangerous liberty or safe slavery. That's it. There's no in between. You can have the illusion that you have safe liberty, dangerous liberty, or safe slavery.
Like us going on public transit or like hanging out without having to worry that we might be attacked, like murdered, whatever it may be. It's a very, very safe country. And yeah, like
that's not an emoji.
Stuffy. I would rather that, but also the safety. And that's why, like, growing up in places like Singapore, like Hong Kong, I have a very low tolerance for crime. And I get frustrated with Americans sometimes because I'll like complain about how dangerous American cities are. And people like, oh, well, you know, that's just a big city. It's like, actually, no, there's a lot of big cities out there where you don't have to worry about crime, where you actually can still leave your doors unlocked.
And that's, and you know, that is the ideal, is the balance. But the priority has to be liberty. It just has to be. Teacher said, I don't really drink. What's the difference between a dive and not? So a dive bar just generally means like they're not trying to impress you. Like they're there, and you know, it's gonna be a place where you're gonna find a lot of locals. You're gonna find cheap drinks. But it's also, you know, it might be a little bit dirty. It might be a little you know, we're talking about rednecky. It might be a little bit janky. It might be a little bit rednecky, depending on where you are. And it just means, you know, like it's somewhere that's not trying to impress you. It has a character just from what it is. So like the pub that I don't want to say my hometown, but the pub from my hometown, it was, you know, I mean, it was a dive bar. It was nice, in the sense that it wasn't dirty, but you know, you walk in, there was a big horseshoe bar. And then there was a little separator. There was a tiny little dance floor, and then a back bar, and then a smoking room outside. So there's nothing like, you know, there was a dartboard, but that's it, you know. And then they even put chairs and tables and stuff on the dance floor during the week. So it wasn't somewhere you would go to necessarily celebrate, you know, an anniversary or something. But I tell you what. Every goddamn birthday from 21 to 25 for every one of your friends was at the pub. That is the dive bar. Guys, don't forget about the goal and game over emojis. Guamtech's not here, but he would be very disappointed that nobody is using them. Come on. Y'all seeing how Twitch works? Come on.
A lot of big cities out there where you don't have to worry about crime, where you actually can still leave your doors unlocked.
Well, there's an elephant in the room here with this conversation, and everyone ignores it whenever they discuss it. But the elephant has a lot of melanin, if you're following me. Like
the Scott Adams issue. So what
Scott Adams?
Like there's big cities.
What do you guys remember that? Oh my God, the Scott Adams tweet. What did he say? Scott Adams racist tweet. Might be. They're not gonna have it. Come on, just give me the damn thing. That's what I'm looking for. You know what I'm looking for. You know it. You know it. All right, one more link, and then we're moving. Oh, maybe images. Boom. Nope. All right. Moving on. He had a racist tweet, and it wasn't really racist, but people flipped out. That's what I was looking for.
The Scott Adams issue. So what? But what?
Yeah, like there's big cities. There's big cities in Norway and Finland that also have no crime, and they're not as strict as Singapore.
I mean, but are you?
She just let that sit there. She just let that sit. Like, yeah, in Norway, cause they're white.
Saying that like Norway would be better, and Norway, like the Scandinavian.
But no, that's the point that he's making. It wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I'm not going to speak for Gavin, but based on what we're talking about, he's not saying it's better. He's saying it's safer. But safer doesn't necessarily mean better.
Are really strict about random stuff. They are anal. They have zero chill. It's like they either go too far one way, like it's in their DNA to be authoritarian, kind of either too far to the right or too far to the left.
Yeah, I can see that. But most successful cities are white or Asian, and most unsuccessful cities are more diverse, we'll say. That seems to be the pattern that everyone ignores when they talk about the quality of a city. And they'll say things like, I don't know, like, oh, it's because in Singapore you can't have gum on the streets. Well, no, it's not quite that.
And I would love to be like, hey, whoa, this guy's being racist. That's not what, but he's not. So, I mean, people are definitely going to get mad if they hear it, but that doesn't mean he's doing a racism.
I think diversity is something. I mean, you're mixed race. My kids are mixed race. It has its upside, but for the most part, it doesn't. It takes a few centuries to assimilate a mixed culture, and we're not very good at it in America, and we're getting worse.
Okay, so then the question is, why do we have? If we all kind of know that diversity isn't a good thing, we're talking. And by the way, scandals that are like drama that I've been in, there was like one clip that circulated. I discussed this with like Chrissy Mayer, I think last week. Another little sniff. I got dropped by UTA because I said something to the effect that homogenous societies like tend to be safer. They did not like that, but it's true. It's not just a fact. It's just a fact. But then you look at what's happening in the UK. Like you look at what's happening in America. There's mass migration. None of these people who are like in these countries wanted it. Nobody voted for it. Why is it still happening then? Like, why has it become the default of the West? If the West is the best, why are we signing off on the destruction of our countries?
So before he answers, why are we, I mean, just to broaden it. And I believe the West is the best. I believe America's number one. But that doesn't mean that it's perfect. We obviously have issues. There's obviously things that could be better. There's things that other countries do that I wish America did. But unless we're looking at a perfect country, that doesn't mean anything.
Because we have a virus, we have a plague within us called socialism and Marxism. And this plague has decided.
Nice shoulder on shoulder.
Whatever are our previous DNC voters, I don't like them anymore. Maybe it was blacks, gays, women, I don't know. But the DNC has decided they don't like their fan base anymore. So they're importing a new fan base.
The DNC has decided they don't like their fan base anymore, so they're importing a new one. Sounds like some type of replacement and pretty great in scale.
And people go, well, do they realize this mass importation of new voters is going to destroy the country? And many of the people I know say, yeah, that's on purpose. It's destruction on purpose. I don't agree. I think that destroying the country is ancillary. That's just a side effect. That's collateral damage. They don't care. All they care about is getting more votes and staying in power. If that means that they have to Thanos half of America and 150 million people die, they would say, yeah, well, sorry, tough loss, but you're gone. So I think it's just incompetent greed that is allowed for these voters to come in, because that's what they are to the left. They're just voters.
But I feel
they're just voters. Yeah. They're just voters. That's actually a very poignant way of saying they're just voters. They're just voters. They're not people. They're just numbers.
Yes, you're right. I think, the Marxism that's at the root of this, the cultural relativism, it's an ideological virus. But one of the reasons why I'm critical of the West right now, and I love so many things about being Western, but I can't say that currently it is the best, because we're not serious countries anymore. Like we're not. I mean, if you look at the invasion that's happening in the UK, the US, Canada, we are paying for people who hate us and don't share our values and who are not economically contributing. We are paying for them to come here. And it's like serious countries don't do that. Eva Vladin, I'm not going to try the Dutch woman, Eva tweeted something about how I think in the Netherlands, there was, this migrant molested, unfortunately, I think a 12-year-old, like essentially like probation or something like that. Slap on the wrist. If that, we see way too many stories of that also happening in the UK, the US. Hey, they might be out on the street with all bail reform craziness. Like serious countries don't do that. If we were actually the best countries, wouldn't we be, protecting our women and our children? And I feel like it's a mockery at this point.
Okay, so which country is better? You can name countries that are doing that better, But which country is better? Where do you live?
And government aside, I mean, I can't come on YouTube and like condone vigilantism, but I feel like there's something missing from the West now where people just aren't taking things in their own hands. If someone tried to do that in Russia to a Russian girl, I don't think there would be the same like, oh, well, what are you going to do response.
Yeah, but I'm optimistic. I think, what's her name in Athens, Georgia? Lakey Riley.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Laken Riley, who deserves to have her name said correctly because she was killed by a criminal alien. Oh, not illegal. Sorry.
I feel like that was a turning point for Americans. I saw Louis C.K. He tweeted out. He goes, "Wait, so let me get this right-winger straight. America's the greatest. America forever. Die for America. And also, America sucks. What has happened to this country?"
That's the What do you mean? What do you mean? Who on the right is saying America bad like that? What are you talking about? She is. There's more than one Lauren. There's I was gonna try to make a more than one way to skin a cat joke, and it didn't arrive. But yeah, what is he saying?
It's America forever, die for America, and also America sucks.
Who is that?
Has happened to this country? And
oh, okay. What has happened to this country? Yeah, people say what has happened to this country, but I don't hear a lot of conservatives or Republicans saying America sucks. Those are two very different sentiments. What happened implies already that there was something good, that America does not suck. It just isn't as good as it used to be in certain areas. So I think he's reading too much into that.
I don't see that as a contradiction. It's like you have
right, but those are two different things. America sucks and America good is a contradiction. But America good, but what happened is not a contradiction.
It's a Rocky movie, and Rocky's the greatest boxer ever. And it's in the part of the movie where he's like a drunk and he's in an alleyway and he gets in a fight in some bar because they said you're not the greatest anymore. And you're still a Rocky fan. You're still a great fighter, Rock, but you're going through a rough phase right now. When we say make America great again, we mean 1983. We mean the 80s. We mean that arrogance, that pro-capitalism 80s, that
pro-capitalism, pro-family, pro-community, pro-tradition, pro-America, the American identity.
Reagan brought us. That's what we're going for. So, yes, these countries are screwing the pooch right now, but it's something we're trying to fix. And when you talk about Western chauvinism, I mean, I'm going back to the Industrial Revolution till now, really.
So like that far, what do you mean when you say you're going back? Like that's
what I'm proud of. When I say I'm a Western chauvinist, I'm proud of 1800 till 2015.
Well, I don't know about 2015, but let's call it 2000. Let's say that 9/11 is a good endpoint, a good bookend for the elitism of America. Let's take the Industrial Revolution to 9/11. I think that's perfect America. That's peak America. Michael says in 1983, the mortgage rate was 16.5%, though. The 40s were better. Well, but people had the money to spend at that time. Like things cost what they cost, and people made enough money without having to jump through all the hoops that exist now because of all the bureaucracy. That the lefties will say, "Oh, the corporations are," but the corporations only do what the corporations do because the government creates the opportunity for them to pull the ladder up from behind them. There's a reason that you're not going to get any new Amazon. You're not going to get a new Walmart. You're not going to get a new Netflix even. But Netflix isn't complaining about that. Amazon's not complaining about that. So that which was possible in the 80s, the American dream, it's just not a thing anymore. So he said, not the 80s capitalism that sold us off to the world, not Reaganomics that sold us off to the world. Come on, guys. I mean, we're talking. I'm not disagreeing with that, What Gavin is saying is the experience of the average American in the 1980s was significantly better than it is now. I don't think that that's that complicated.
Well, hey, 2015 is still, I think, later than a lot of people who are probably watching this would say that the West was great for.
Well, we had Trump. So at the first year of
No. We're not going to say that 2015 was okay because it brought us Trump. Nope, not happening. No.
Trump was good.
Trump was good, but I will take no wokeness and no Trump over wokeness and Trump. And I don't think any of you would disagree. Game over. Use the goddamn emojis. I'm trying to make a thing happen.
And then Trump derangement syndrome kicked in. So let's say 1800 to 2016, I think the West is the best.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Well, I mean, again, I'm not anti-Western, but I just feel like it's almost a LARP now when we say the West is the best, because it's like, look at us.
But Hong Kong is Western. Hong Kong is Britain. Singapore adopted a lot of Western values. I might even call Singapore the West.
Okay, that's cope. Singapore is not the West. They may have been Westernized, but the West is a part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways. And the West is great, but I also look at, with the LGBT issue, for example, the most pushback that's been effective
Zippy, would you rather, with all of the, the socioeconomic status that you're at today, would you rather have that socioeconomic status today or in the mid 80s? Exactly.
Of getting this, like, that wokeness and over-sexualization out of schools, especially in the UK, has been Muslim parents. And I'm not, like, I've been called an Islamophobe just as much as anybody. Actually, maybe not you, but like more than the average person. And I still have to say, like, all right, but then why are they able to say, hey, stop sexualizing our kids, when it seems like the average Brit cannot do that? Like, shouldn't we be inspired? And so I think
that's my point. That's Gavin's point, which is just what I was explaining to you. I wasn't alive for 99.9% of the 80s, so I'm not making a point about what life was like in the 80s from a personal standpoint. I'm just saying that Gavin was saying that when we talk about what happened, we're just saying that we're looking back to a more recent time. And again, the average person, like, this is the millennial war cry. That boomers and Gen Xers were able to just work a 40-hour minimum wage job and buy a house and a family. Are you telling me that's not a better way for people to exist? And again, if you want to take some pedantic argument, well, no, I don't want people on minimum wage. Fine, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you could. Most people didn't, but you could. And now you can't. 80s to now bad.
Bingo.
the average Brit cannot do that. Like, shouldn't we?
Wait, well, I missed what she said.
I've been called an Islamophobe just as much as anybody. Actually, maybe not you, but like more than the average person. And I still have to say, like, all right,
there you go.
Then why are they able to say, hey, stop sexualizing our kids, when it seems like the average Brit cannot do that? Like, shouldn't we be inspired? And so I think I can agree with like appreciating Western history, but I look at Westerners right now and I'm like, man, we are not serious people.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, if even in
does she live in Canada? I know. I mean, I know Lauren Southern does. I'm pretty sure she's. Oh, she is Canadian. That's why. Okay. All right. Okay. Just saying.
In the States, like, you look at town halls and they're like, this is not right. It's
Virgil. First, I can't even see the second half of that. And two, I'm not pulling things up that to stop the whole, like, you gotta be tweets, not Facebook posts.
not just Muslims too. It's like Venezuelans,
oh yeah,
and black women and everyone but normal Westerners.
No, I know the white people are like,
headline: Gavin McInnes says black women are not normal Westerners.
Well, I would rather you not shove a dildo in my kid's face. Like, I would
Yes.
prefer that you didn't. I don't want to make a big deal out of it.
But if you insist, I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whatever we're doing.
So we have a super chat. Daniel Jagger says, it's an exercise in union busting. Corporations take the more diverse, the more low trust society factor and apply it to the workforce. Lower wages, higher margins, and larger markets. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a factor.
So I do want to get your take on, you know, the plight of the modern woman.
Oh boy! Oh, queen! Here we go. Here we go. All right, so we're switching gears a little bit to modern dating.
You've really gone viral several times for your thoughts about feminism. I'm sure you've probably seen this one before. This is a girl who went viral. Let me see if I can not be a boomer. I want to get your thoughts on how.
See, when you got a TikTok, you got to get this view. You got to get this view, guys. Come on.
Feminism has kind of steered this woman.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic.
Can I just take a moment? Can I just take a moment and get a little bit of appreciation? All right, like these people are, you know, I mean, shout out to Gavin's got his whole thing going. But I mean, like, you know, look at my setup versus their setup. I'm just a dude in my living room. She's got fucking over 500,000 subs, and your background is red. Like, do better, guys. Production value. All right, production value.
Annoying. But this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest, and then like I don't have time.
I'm gonna do a poll on this girl. I want to know. Ooh, what exactly do I want to know? I want to know your guys' opinion on this girl, but okay, I want to know: are you on her side, or is she just you know, full of shit? And then we'll talk about it. All right.
Time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9-to-5, like if it was remote, you get off.
Okay, well, I mean, we see where that's going. A lot of people are calling her entitled. I don't know if it's just because I'm a woman, but I feel for her. That sounds terrible.
So let's see. I want you guys to hit the poll. I didn't expect her to be done with that so fast. Because I do want, you know, before we hear their opinions, I want to hear yours opinions. And nobody's hitting the poll, so fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. All right, I hate you all. Why can't you just do what I ask you to do? I'm just kidding. Michael said, Zippy, we are in a new tech horizon right now. It's going so fast. The opportunities are there. We just need a Javier Milei to slash all regulation and open up the free market. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, look who we got. I know Guamtech's hitting the poll. Welcome to the party, my dude. What is good? So what's good with that Lauren and Gavin stuff? It's getting a little spicy. We going into dating territory yet again. And so if you so let's just do this. If you're just joining us, you probably have seen this before.
Viral.
But if you haven't,
not be a boomer.
We have a running poll. Are you on her side?
I want to get your thoughts on
Welcome to the party.
Feminism has kind of steered this woman.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest, and then like I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower.
Really, guys? Come on. Like, you just got to click, especially if you're on your phone. You don't even have to find a mouse. Just touch the screen. It's right. It's what is it? It's right here. Just touch it. Just do it. I don't get it. I do not get you guys at all. I don't get it.
Eat my dinner and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off.
All right. Well, I mean, we see where that's going. A lot of people are calling.
Really? We're just not gonna engage? All right. Okay. I tried.
Her entitled. I don't know if it's just because I'm a woman, but I feel for her. That sounds terrible.
Well, women don't belong in the workforce generally. And at that age, you're supposed to love you're almost a masochist at that age. Like when I started Vice, we would be working 24 hours a day. When it would get close to deadline, the last 3 days before we put out Voice of Montreal, it was called at the time, we didn't sleep for days. We would do coke sometimes to try to stay up. We'd get amphetamines, and that's how most magazines were done back then, was amphetamines and cocaine. But we loved it. And we would talk about work when we were on our downtime. Like we'd go to the bar after work and strategize. We didn't have families at the time. This woman, if she was, meant to be in the workforce, that age, 20, let's say 22 to 26, you're supposed to eat, sleep, and breathe work. Talk to anyone who's got millions of dollars in the bank. They got up in the dark. They came home in the dark. And if you don't like that,
okay, so at least we have a plurality now. So we had 2 votes, one for yes, one for no. And Michael didn't get to vote, and he said no. So no wins. But I'm kind of on the fence. I'm kind of on the fence because the idea here is we have been through all of that. We just took it on the chin and were like, oh, fuck. And then dealt with it and figured it out. But we didn't have TikTok like that. We had MySpace and Facebook, and I will pay any of you $5 if you can link your MySpace or Facebook profile, and there is not a single word about how much you hate your job. So you said I voted yes, but she needs to get her game up. I mean, yes, but does she have is she overreacting, or is it reasonable to feel that way? I think of a story. Yeah, Michael said, "I'm Generation X. Work hard, play hard. Y'all are fucking grizzled. The Gen Xers are grizzled." But I remember a conversation I had. I was 22 years old. I was at the pub, the one we were just talking about. I was at the pub and I was talking to the bartender, and it was just, this was the time, like I said, I was 22. So it was like 3 or 4 times a week I was at the pub. It wasn't a celebration. It was just a thing that we did. That was just like, it's like the watering hole. You just go without, you don't even make plans with anybody. You just show up, and that at least 4 or 5 other people are going to be there. Anyway, so I finish whatever job I'm working at the time. I go over. It's relatively early in the day, so people aren't really there. But I sit down, I have a drink, and the bartender could just tell, like, I had, one of those days. Just one of those days. And he said something, and I said something back, and I said something about being, getting older. And he looks at me and laughs. And I'm we always look at people younger than us and minimize what it's like because we've been there, done that. But I think there's something to be said for that 22, 23, 21 to 25. Where it's like, that's the first time that you're really realizing, oh shit, childhood is over. This is my life forever. I'm 34. My understanding that this is what life is going to be, I've had that for over a decade. But when I was 22, I was just getting acquainted with that idea. So I'm going to say that I totally feel her, because I think every single one of us has been in her shoes and has felt exactly the same way that she has. We just didn't have TikTok to put it on. And if you typed it out on MySpace, then it just didn't hit the same. Guamdek said, I disagree with the girl. I'm working my ass off every day for a goal of financial freedom. I chose to look at the obstacles in front of me and tell myself no one will save me or my family. Go hard and be victorious. I mean, dilly to that for sure. But then that raises the question, okay, how young would the person have to be? Especially, let's keep it, she was a female. Let's keep it female. How young would it have to be before you understand the realization, this realization that you had? At what age is it reasonable to be as upset as the girl was that this is what you have to do? I think 22 to 25 is bullseye. That makes perfect sense. When you're younger than that, you're a child. As you're getting older, you become an adult, but you don't really know what the fuck is what. And as you get, past college age, and you have your first job and you're doing real life stuff, that's when you first realize, like, oh, okay, I'm not in college anymore. There's no more milestones. There's no more fun things about age. There's nothing. There's just what I create. And so I think it takes time. And I would argue that it took you, Guantech, I think it took you time. Without knowing any better. I don't know your life like that. But I would bet that before you got here, you were at a place where you were a little stressed the fuck out. I mean, I had a little bit of a late start in terms of, when you spend 5 years as a drug addict, you're not really getting shit done. So this is kind of obviously I had jobs and stuff, but this is my first like real thing where it's like, I'm not just doing a job for beer money or whatever. I'm actually trying to make, actually, that's not true. I take dog training pretty seriously, but okay. So let's say in the last 5 years, but I was 30 years old and I was not living like that. And so it was around that time, 28, 29, where I had that realization, even though I had that conversation when I was 22. So again, I'm going to say, I think, it's reasonable. Virgil Keynes is my ex-wife was a light sleeper and sleeps with the lights on. I'm a hard sleeper. What should I do? Get her an eye mask. Zibby said, oh no, she's reasonable in feeling that way. But at the same time, like with my own life, you have to learn when to change your damn life or suffer. And I agree. But at no point did she say, I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to ever learn to be okay with this. That was a moment in time. And this is something that, especially if some of you Gen Xers, I got this for a long time from you guys. Now we're on the same side of oh, look at the Zoomers. But you remember there was a significant period of time where it was all these fucking millennials, goddamn millennials, these millennials, this, and millennials are so lazy. Millennials want to do this, millennial. And especially the people who had young parents, Gen Xers, y'all the ones that raised us. Most of us, it was boomers, but older Gen X is who raised the younger millennials. Michael says, I don't feel bad for her because A, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and B, she probably votes blue and doesn't realize she's making herself miserable. MAGA. So again, I don't feel bad for her. I don't think that's really, feeling bad for someone kind of implies that if it was possible, you would change their circumstance, by some inconvenience to you. I don't feel bad for her. It's what we all got to do. But I feel for her. I can commiserate with her. I can empathize with her. Because life does fucking suck. Work does fucking suck. Like, come on. Y'all not going to pretend that you never had the realization for the first time that life sucks and you work and then you die. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Well, I said, get broken by the system early. Learn from it. Capitalize on what you've learned and pivot to stop being taken advantage of. I just do happen to get I just did happen to get broken at 14 when my family cut me off financially. Well, that will definitely do it for sure. But the ban from what? That will definitely do it. But again, that's not the average experience. When I was 14 years old, I was still asking my mom to drive me to shows and begging her to let me stay for the headliner. So as much as I can respect having to grow up early and keeping that with you, are we expecting everyone else in the world to have that perspective? That can't be. I don't think you think that way. Goes on to say, and yes, I was stressed out. I can understand being upset, but I never accepted that there's no other way but giving up and complaining. My mistake was not taking myself seriously enough to move on with anything. But again, where in that video did she say anything about giving up? She just said this sucks and she don't like it. I'll tell you what, I said shit. Me too.
In the bank, they got up in the dark, they came home in the dark. And if you don't like that, then you're being weeded out. Like, that's part of the initiation to the workforce.
I think Gavin has the most appropriate position on this. It's like, well, it's because you're a woman. Women aren't built for this shit.
And the fact that she wants to work out and come home and be able to watch a movie and stuff shows that she doesn't get the big picture. And by the way, I have zero. I want that. I want her to be with a man. I want her to be at home. I'll take her
at
home with no kids while they talk about marriage and get ready to have kids. I mean, he's got an apartment. She can just sleep on his bed. I don't understand why these people go, well, we can't afford right now to get married. It's just a bed.
They want the wedding. They need, so I don't, some of you guys probably know this way better than me because I don't have any friends who are like this, but you have the engagement and engagement party. Then you have I could go down the list, the bridal this and the bachelor's party, and you got to get the dress for this. And some people got to travel, and then you got to make hotel reservations. My sister's getting married in August, and it's already just a lot. Actually, I have a bunch of stuff. Remind me in the after party. I gotta show you guys some videos I have from her I guess engagement party. It's a cool little place in the city we went. Anyway, and yeah, exactly. They only need $30K for their wedding. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
I don't understand why these people go, well, we can't afford right now to get married. It's just a bed. It's just more groceries.
Yeah,
I'll pay for the extra bread.
Well, no, I think there's a lot of reasons why people say we can't afford to get married is because they want a wedding. And so
I'm like, it's a good point. Maybe it's the uploading to TikTok that really gets at me. Complain in silence and let victory be your noise. I like this quote, but do you think this is something that is going to speak to the average Zoomer? Again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying we need to put things in perspective and understand that, number one, emotions are not a bad thing. Emotions are not a bad thing. Controlling them is important. But just because you have emotions and you display emotions is not the same thing as being not in control of your emotions. If you got, okay, so that video of the girl where she flips out, girl cries. This is not going to bring it up. Let's see this one. Yes. So
a Taylor Swift fan
this is yeah. Whatever the reaction to this is, this should not be public. This is so it says Sydney night 3. My reaction to Taylor singing "Exile," also known as the song that saved my life. If you're gonna have this type of reaction to a song, don't go to the concert. Have you guys seen this?
viral for her reaction to hearing one of the star's songs live, is now speaking out on the internet's response. Swiftie Madison Black Band saw Taylor Swift this past Sunday evening, and the next morning woke up in reaction to Swift playing her song Exile.
Ready? This is, I mean, I don't know for sure. Anything on the internet could be a skit, but realizing, oh my god, this is my song. And then look at this friend, look at the immediate reaction to this friend, and then how this friend talks to this friend. Already, I never even seen this. I never even seen that. She's already priming her to get upset. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, let's watch it through.
The clip currently holds.
So what I didn't, so that like, and it goes on for another like minute, a while, where she's just bawling as if she's found her child in a pool of blood. This is where this is appropriate. I'm just gonna say, being upset at work is not that big of a deal. I don't know. Maybe y'all disagree, but I'm with her. Tara says emotional control doesn't exist anymore. We live in a world where we've gone from I disagree with you, I'd like to steer clear, versus you don't agree with me, I must destroy you. Yeah, I agree. So of course it would be the case with everything else. Not one part of me believes that video is legit. I don't know. I really don't know, because there was some demonic shit going on there. Like, I don't know how easily you just act with that. Hey, shout out to Kelly Green in the building. What is good? What is good? Oh, he's got my back. What is good, brother? What is good? But yeah, I don't. That's the type of behavior where I'm saying I'm gonna say like, all right, come on, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? That if you're gonna react like that, then you need to go to therapy and figure some shit out. But just being at home and being frustrated after a long day, I'm just not gonna say that that's a big deal. Michael says there's a spiritual void happening in the world. That's how I see this video. Yeah. It says, remind me of the blue hairs when Trump beat Hillary. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the same thing. I mean, we've all seen the girl who Trump scream mean girl. That's my search, and it's gonna bring it up.
Donald J. Trump is now president of the United States. President Obama. What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald.
Like, you're gonna tell me that's not performative? I've been a vocalist in a metal band. The way that you just did that, you purposely were using your diaphragm. You can tell.
Donald.
That's where you sing from your diaphragm. You're singing. You're singing. You are singing. Anyway, what the fuck? How did we get here? Bring back Mr. Rogers is right. Into the void. It's coming. Yep. And that's called look at me syndrome. Indeed. Golden Takes in my cold dead heart has little sympathy anymore. Men went off to die at 16, less than 100 years ago. Women birthed multiple children and ran a household. We have become soft. I mean, true, but I mean, is this like is this what you're gonna say to your daughter? Our first day, she comes home from her first job, and she's like, "Dad, it was really hard, and I didn't like it, and then I thought, you prepared me for this, but I didn't know." Suck it up, bitch! Really? Something tells me you're full of shit. Tara says, I want someone to interview her and see how she feels about becoming the face of the woke mind virus and Trump derangement syndrome. She would never talk to any. I am sure that she's had some type of plastic surgery to look. I mean, oh my God. She would be like, what would that be? What could any possible response to that? Is there a response? Is there anything that woman could say that would be like, all right, anything? I don't think so. Zippy says, rather than spiritual void, it's fakeness and falsehoods that you need to be the one with the tribe. Tribalism is more natural than people think. Good point. Because says, how do all lefties have that? They have no self-awareness at the same time. Probably indicative of their low IQ. I mean, no, I mean, it literally is a mind virus where they don't care. They don't care what us evil Republicans think. They only care about their own tribe. And once the as Zippy says, the fakeness and the falsehoods become the currency, then the more brainworms, the better. Must United said it's what my dad said to me. I complained about 4 hours on my feet. He said, try doing 12. I mean, that's what I'm saying with the boomer mentality. I have boomer parents too. I'm just saying, if you think that's ideal, all right.
I think there's a lot of reasons why people say we can't afford to get married is because they want like a wedding. And so what a lot of the time they mean is that we can't afford a wedding, which I don't think is a thing you should be spending a lot of money on. But so I'm going to push back. I don't think men should be working that much either. And I know like this is probably a lot of people watching this.
Okay, then who's going to work? Somebody got to work, sweetie.
Like, what are you saying? Like, yeah, I 100% think that regardless of your gender, you should not be killing yourself for money. I think you should be devoting time for family. I think you should be devoting time for.
How do you get a family without money? Unless you're Mega Chad, you need money in order to get a family. And it didn't always, I mean, you need, when I say that, I mean, it's not like it used to be. You could be a broke dude with potential. Not anymore.
Or like scripture study, I don't think you should be. And that's obviously people are going to do that and they'll be more millionaires. But I am very anti, putting all of your eggs in a single basket. And
I reject the premise that trying to earn money is putting all your eggs in a single basket.
Phase. I think it's a healthy phase.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying though. I'm saying as a boomer and older mentality, is that really what you think is going to be appropriate for a Guantex daughter who is a newborn when she has her first job? Or are we just going to pretend that society has not changed at all and all of the same parenting things from even the 90s is the way to go? Like, all right, I don't have kids. Maybe I'm stupid and ignorant, and you guys are perfectly right. You guys are the parents. But I certainly been a kid who has had a lot to say about my own parenting. Zippy said, herding instinct pushes people together. So in order for more and more people to herd together more strongly, you cannot think, you cannot breathe, you can only obey the herd. That's modern leftism. She wants everyone to be home finger painting. And that's definitely not her position. So I do need to see where she's going with this. But like, shit needs to get done. Now, if you're going to come in and be like, I don't think men need to be working all that much. There's all these jobs like the entire government, all these 3-letter agencies like Vivek was saying. We get rid of those and then there's more, something like that. Sure. Okay, fine. But somebody's got to work. Guantex says, I'm being man-pilled right now. Obviously, I believe there's a place for sympathy. I'm just bothered by the overabundance of it today. I do hope to prepare my child for this big, mean world, but you never know. You do never know. And that's all I'm trying to kind of playing a little bit of devil's advocate, but I also am somebody who really does not like working. And so I can very much relate to, like, bro, this is really it. And take it out of, let's take it out of just a work and laziness and I want to do this, that, the other. Let's take it out of that context. Let's bring it into a more spiritually relevant context. I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe that there is time, that Lutch will exist after death. I also am aware that I don't know when Lutch ends. And so when you're hyper aware of that, and again, I'm not saying you have to believe what I believe. This is what I believe. When you're hyper aware of this experience, this isn't a waiting room, some magical place. This is it. And if you're telling me that the life that I was living and enjoying now is being transformed into something where the overwhelming majority of my time is spent doing things that I don't want to do, and for whatever reason, I'm unhappy, and you're going to tell me that I should just deal with it, then I'm just going to assume that you have an easy life. That's what I'm going to assume. Because there's a lot of people who complain about their lives. And I agree. Probably most of them are just little bitches. But all of the rest of them have real shit. And we're not even talking about people who have even gone through, traumatic experiences outside of the norm. I'm just talking about living your goddamn life, waking up and getting back to bed, knowing that you have to get up and do it all again the next day. And then you have to get up and do it again the next day. And especially if you don't have a family, if you don't have a support system of people around you, and this is all that you have, to tell me that you don't get to even have a moment to be upset with that. And again, I'm not 20 years old, but if I was 20 years old, I probably would share a lot of stuff like that. Just saying, maybe when you don't look at life as a waiting room, it changes the context of things. Okay, so she's saying that she didn't want anybody to work. We should all just sit around and finger paint.
More millionaires, but I am very anti, putting all of your eggs in a single basket. And
it's a phase. I think it's a healthy phase. It's an early 20s phase.
So you've managed.
My early 20s phase was doing drugs.
You are probably like in the 1% of people who are able to, have done that phase and then like get married and have kids. But there are a lot of people where it's like, if you're doing that as a guy in your 20s, you are missing out on the time to be dating a lot of women who are like similarly aged or hanging out with them. And most people still
now you meet people through your work.
Who are the closest in their age
You
group.
meet clients. You meet people at, like, if you're busting your ass like that, you're going to big seminars, meetings.
In the workforce, Gavin, there are no female clients.
Well, there's chicks. Unfortunately, there's lots of chicks. And
too many. $69 cents, all in how you deal with it. You're doing your best to build a platform alongside your day job. You're not bitching about it. You're working to change it. Sure. Okay. I mean, but I'm a 34-year-old man. I should be able to I should be able to deal with it. Why is it that what we can assume is a privileged girl who's lived a nice childhood? Why would we expect that she wouldn't have anything to say about that? That's what I'm not understanding. I get that, you can't stay there. I'm questioning why you can't be there in the first place. That's what I don't get.
In the workforce, and they all.
And if that's not what you're saying, then we're on the same page. That you can't sit in that. But that's a legitimate emotion, a legitimate reaction to realizing what real life actually is. If you said my early 20s phase, married at 20, bought a house, had a son at 22. Dilly, do that. I mean, and divorced by 25. But I mean, it shows such a big difference between Gen X and millennials. That there was like the difference between a boomer and a Gen X generation wise is it's not the same thing. And I think part of this ties into I was thinking the other day about how we have these micro generations, that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are the same generation. We just call them different because of how we use that grouping of generation. We use the grouping of generation for people who grew up in a similar type of environment. And that usually is about 20 years. But it's not anymore, because 20 years ago is a very, very, very different time than it is now. Zippy says, Zippy will exist after death. It takes time for this much biomass to break down. There you go. There you go.
I'll want to get out of it as soon as possible. So it's actually a fairly good gene pool for broads, because it's these women, it's women who have tried careers and are like, I want to get out of this. You seem like a good investment.
But see, so I've been reacting to like a lot of red pill content, a lot of like these ridiculous women who have this expectation of like, oh, I'm not going to date anyone who makes less than 500,000. If you want to take me on a date, it needs to be like $300. I think this is exactly what happens when you date past college age. I very strongly believe that everybody should be trying to like get paired up while they're that like college age.
Oh, is that what I'm supposed to do? Oh, my bad. I was just trying to fuck around this whole time.
That's what the last time, like when I was single, and dating is just different when you're both young and both students. There's like none of this expectation of like, I'm only going to date a guy if he's like whatever, which we know it's like that level of hypergamy has been really bad for the rates of singleness in young men. And it makes sure that a woman is investing in a man because like of his core character rather than just, oh, you have all of this money.
All of this money. Speaking of money, we got a new sponsor of the stream, indie film, coming in hot with the $6. Woof, woof, motherfucker! Woof, woof. Thank you, sir. Let's rage. The party rages on. Thank you, sir. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream.
In a man because like of his core character rather than just, oh, you have all of this money. It also means like, a lot of the baggage that we see young women have now, like even as they get older, doesn't happen. We need to be pairing up like when we are younger. So like young men need to be having time set aside for courtship.
Pardon, ma'am. You mean women need to stop being fucking whores? That's what you mean. There is no way that you could ever make the argument to me that the downturn in dating culture is not solely on women. There's no way around it. If you control who has sex and the market of having sex sucks, it's your fault.
I agree with you, but that's all pie in the sky should be stuff. You should be married at 19. You should be married as a virgin. You should have 5 kids by the time you're 26, 27 years old. That's all true. But I deal with like what most people are dealt with as a hand. And the hand seems to be, there has to be tons of promiscuity. I don't like this. I'm just telling you what seems to be the norm out there. I don't like this, but if there's going to be promiscuity, okay, ladies, around 25, you got to stop being a slut. You got to stop dating DJs.
Good advice. Stop dating DJs. And Monster 9 said, also, when I was in my early 20s, I was considered an adult. Look at how society infantilizes people in their 20s. They still refer to them as kids. They aren't kids. And a new film agrees. Are you sure? Because you're just arguing to me about how a 20-year-old is acting in a way that you would never act when you were 20. So are kids more infantilized or are they not? You can't have it both ways. Either the kids, that video is not normal behavior and that girl's just a little crybaby, or society infantilizes people in their 20s and still refer to them as kids. If society is infantilizing people, then we certainly can't look at an individual person and blame them for the environment that they grew up in. I completely agree with you. But this completely ignores the fact that, well, are children developing more slowly? Is education what it used to be? Is the experience of being a young person, a child, a toddler, is it the same thing? Of course it's not. We know that it's not. So you can sit on your high horse and be, oh, well, when I was living in a world without the internet, I did things this way. Okay, great. Good for you. These kids don't get to experience that. They don't get to experience that. So you speaking out of both sides of your mouth with this one. Either kids are grown up, or they're infantilized by society. So you tell me. Zippy says society does not teach people to construct a stable life, which it used to do. That used to be part of what society did. And so we should be blaming society and those that lead society, and not poking fun at the people who are living through the bad times brought on by the good men. Shout out to the fourth turning. So on dating, M169 said there's no courtship anymore. Women thought being a slut was cool. Turns out marriage-minded men don't like used goods. Indeed. That, I mean, let's dilly on that. Shout out to Blocking over on Twitch. Welcome to the party. Anti-bullish sentiment on what? Bullish just means like, or anti-bullish would be bearish, but bearish just means going in a bad direction. So what is going in a bad direction are people saying that I would have an opinion on? Welcome to the party. All right, diving back in here. 25,
around 25, you got to stop being a slut. You got to stop dating DJs and photographers and guys who promote shows. They're going to cheat on you. Dump then and start focusing on guys who are a good long-term investment. And guys, I get that you want to party. All right. You stole liquor from your parents' liquor cabinet at 4. Hold on.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on the anti-bullish sentiment? We got bullish in the building. I don't know who you guys are, but that was prime. That was prime. Welcome. Well, I mean, if that is if this is bullish, I'm pro-bullish. So if people are anti-bullish, let's go bullish. I don't know anything about bullish, so if he's some sort of weirdo, then I apologize. But just based on this interaction, pro-bullish, let's go. All right.
Then and start focusing on guys who are a good long-term investment. And guys, I get that you want to party. All right. You stole liquor from your parents' liquor cabinet at 14. You're 25 now. You're sort of out of the haze of that workaholic phase I mentioned earlier. Start focusing on chicks.
So that, see, like, because I had that drug addict stage, then I'm still in, or I'm kind of just getting into that workaholic stage where it's like, maybe I should do shit. But yeah, ladies will come. All in good time.
I like your version way better. I like your idea of starting in college, but nobody does that anymore. They think of themselves as teens.
That's not true. If you've been to a Christian or religious university,
I like your idea of starting in college, but nobody does that anymore. They think of themselves as teens.
That's not true. If you've been to a Christian or religious university.
Oh, so what you're talking about is not society. A Christian or religion. There's entire TikTok pages dedicated to laughing at people from what is it, BYU? Actually, let's do that. BYU students.
$5 million or 5 minutes with Joseph Smith.
This might be controversial, but
$5 million or 5 minutes with Joseph Smith, the leader and founder of Mormonism?
Probably $5 million. I'll get to speak to Joseph Smith in the afterlife.
What do you think about NICMOs?
Do it.
The NICMO?
Oh, I forget what this means. NICMO. NCMO. Non-committal makeout. Oh, it's like it's like their version of a one night stand, but it's obviously just makeout.
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
Non-committal makeout.
What's your favorite party drink?
Yeah, kind of like water and like stuff like that.
I like Jaeger bombs.
Loser! What bombs?
Have you ever watched a rated R movie?
Yes.
Do you know how much that lowers your odds into making it into heaven then?
Cute. Dang it.
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you at BYU?
Some guy like did a backflip off of like a 2-story building and landed on his back.
Did he break it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he broke his neck.
You don't go to BYU if you don't?
If you don't soak.
Have you ever watched a rated R
Oh, goal or game over. I know you know what soaking is. Goal or game over if you know what that is. Oh my God. Context said it seems that adults today are sexualized younger, but are being infantilized by not being given the skills to succeed in the real world. It's not exactly that black and white. So, yeah, you have what are you doing, bud? You have two things happening, and I struggle to see how it doesn't go towards the horrible fucking conclusion that we always come with. But when you sexualize adults younger, and you infantilize their behavior older, you're blurring the lines of what is appropriate age-wise. They want to fuck your children. That's all that says to me. But it does mean it doesn't change the fact that they're being infantilized. But yeah. Crazy. You know, said I may have brought this up before. My great grandfather was a teacher and farmer. At 30, fought in the Civil War, lost a leg. Then at 40, married a 15-year-old, had a child 10 months later, and then 6 more. Interesting. Times they are a-changing. Yeah, Mormons are like, so that's what I'm talking about. Like even yeah, this ain't like that normal shit. Like I said, hence all the celebration of sex-based personalities. Could it be that this is the reason it seems so many people only have their sex lives and gender to be proud of? Bingo! There you go. Like I said, I don't blame the girl, by the way. I blame society that failed to prepare her. Indeed, indeed. Context said it better than me. So yeah, you know about soaking. So soaking is when you just so you know we know what this means. We know what this means. You just let it soak. Just let it soak. It's not sex. If you just let it soak. Oh God.
Think of themselves as teens.
That's not true. If you've been to a Christian or religious university, that is what everybody does. Like ring by spring is kind of what people. So I think it's very segmented. Like, you know,
but it's not that's not true, because it's not like there's some Americans doing ring by spring and some Americans being leftists. It's leftists, and then there's a few pockets of this hyper religious thing. So no.
We've both lived in Montreal before. People in Montreal are not doing that.
No.
But the fact that people at Christian universities, like,
I've never done it, but I have had sex, and I will tell you that it felt good from the very first second. So, I mean, I call it marinating. I mean, it's definitely no fun compared to sex, but compared to not sex, I mean, you do what you got to do. These little fucking whores. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Shout out to Chuck over on Instagram.
Before, people in Montreal are not doing that.
No.
But the fact that people at Christian universities, like Mormon universities, they're absolutely doing that. It is still possible. It is still happening nowadays. I think we just need to expand the pool.
Yeah, but those people don't need our advice. People in Christian colleges, you might as well turn off this show right now because you're doing everything fine. I'm sort of talking to my Island of Misfit Toys demographic, which is
right. So it's almost like if you follow this book, super, super, super strict, you're not going to have any fun, and you're not going to have a lot of freedom. but things are going to go decently all right. Or you can go outside of that and risk the danger. But you have the possibility of finding something far greater than the people who wrote that book could ever imagine. That sounds like a dichotomy that we already talked about in this very stream. What was it? Could have dangerous liberty or safe slavery. You pick. And if you think that dogma is not slavery,
stupid.
It's like telling them to act like the people at Christian colleges.
Right. Well, yeah, but you can't grab a whale and just turn it around 180 degrees and send it in a new direction. You got to sort of like push on the side of it and be like, can we kind of go this way a little bit there?
And whales and feminism, appropriate analogy.
Moby.
Yeah. Well, I
name
mean,
is.
regarding the the idea that men should be working and women should be like at home, I very much prefer being at home. I'm super lucky. By the way, I said you're the 1%. I'm also extremely, extremely lucky. I get to like work from home part-time. Like I'm blessed beyond belief to be able to do that. And I know that, a lot of women don't have the same opportunity because of the industry they're in or whatever. But I also saw a post that was interesting and that talked about how the idea that it's like man go work, woman stay home, man slave away. That's actually kind of like this boomer American invention that's like very pro-corporate, but not necessarily trad or pro-family. Like
okay. So I kind of know where she's going because I skipped through this. If I'm not mistaken, this is how strong feminism has a hold on our just on our society. Because if you're not familiar with Lauren Chen, she's on the right. She's not. It's not like she's offensive. Like she's on the right. She's conservative. She's trying to be trad mama. But if I remember this correctly, this is a sad showing of how deep feminism drives. So you said, isn't dogma just the rules, not adherence to the rules, or is that semantics? That is neither. Dogma is a belief that cannot be questioned, a belief or a fact that is incontrovertibly true, that no matter what, we could try to question it, but there's no point because it cannot be wrong. So whether that is God exists and the Bible is good, or man can turn into a female. You can have those ideas. Morty, come on, sit down. You can have those ideas. That's fine. But if you're not willing to engage and question them, and you're willing to operate on them, that's dogma. So it's not a rule per se. It's just a truth claim that you hold that cannot be it's the adherence. So whatever the idea is, we're sticking to it no matter what.
The traddest thing to do,
feminism.
I realize after this post, is that you have your family business that you all work from home at. So the entire family is involved in it, even extended family. You work to build this thing that you own, and you're all involved in it, even kids. Like you grew up working in that same profession. Like that's the trad thing to do. But that, like, obviously for 90% of Americans, that's not going to happen. You do still have like the family-owned business where the son like grows up in it, and like there's no college. You just like learn the craft, and everyone's involved in it. But like that model is like more and more slipping away.
Right, but that's just a numbers thing. There's just not enough families to have enough businesses. In any one town, how many fucking bakeries are there going to be? The fact is, when you have these corporate things where there's a Starbucks and a McDonald's and a fucking, I forget what they call. I picked cupcakes because I wanted to use the fucking thing, and I forget what the store is called. But point being, I don't think this is as much of a cultural issue as it is a corporatist issue, that like everything has been corporatized. So there's not the demand for a small business. Small business service. It's just not there.
And everyone's involved in it. But
I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I placed an order on Amazon today.
Like that model is like more and more slipping away. I hope like it would be cool
Shout out
if
to
my
Marcos.
daughter would be like, I want to be a podcaster, because then you can have that model of it at my place, but I also don't want her to be a podcaster.
I think a podcaster too is a very lady-like job. There's a lot of lady jobs. Like a podcaster is sort of like being at the town hall right now and announcing to your community that, you know, these stop signs are not working. They're slowing traffic down and there's never been an accident there. I think we should remove them. Also, this new principal has no experience. I don't know why he was hired. We all have to get together to like, it's very like helping the community.
Or like reading the news, which is something women weren't allowed to do for a very long time. It strikes me as very odd. Like I'm with you with the you know, the young girl who's crying. Well, yeah, women aren't built for the you know, the corporate jobs like that. Okay, I like that. You know, I don't necessarily fully agree, but I could see that could apply here. But talking authoritatively about what's happening is feminine. What? I think you're just reaching. Yeah, exactly. There's not that many family farms left because everything has been bought up by corporate agriculture. Look in any other industry, and that's what happened. So the reason there's not family businesses is because everybody works for a corporation, which is a lady job. He's obviously a woman now. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you.
Which I think is very natural for women. But what's not natural for women is going out there and hunting big game. And that's what...
You know what's not natural for any man in 2024? Going out there and hunting big game. Show me a man in 2024 who just hunts big game, who has not been taught to hunt big game. What the fuck are you talking about?
Business is. It's even a trade like plumber. You're hunting woolly mammoths all day. You've got a major problem. It's really hard to figure out.
This is not the argument you think it is, Gavin. This is weird. A weird argument. You're trying to, at the same time, you're trying to say that it's the man thing to do to be, really danger. But also, if you just screw some pipes, that's the man thing to do too.
You could destroy this entire house or this entire building, for that record, by with your solution. You could make things a lot worse, but you got to grab the bull by the horns and go, I'm going to do this. So I think in a perfect world, if you're a super geek, which I think is 5% of the population, go off to college and get your degree in biotech and make everyone rich or become an engineer. Power to you. Nobody else should go to college. That's the other 95% should stay home. The woman should be at the guy's apartment or wherever he is as he gets on his feet, and he should be busting his ass, taking every single gig he can as a new plumber and saying, yeah, I can make it on Saturday. I can make it on Sunday. And then once he gets out of the weeds, which will be with plumbers, it's 7 years. So we did 20 to 27.
How long is it for YouTubers? I'm so sick of this shit. I don't have time for anything.
He can still have kids during this time. And then he's going to have more time to be at home as a 27-year-old. That's a good amount of time. You know, here's something about the boomers. I always criticize the boomers, but one thing I do admire is they were still in college. They got married. Your utopia. They did your
married to boomer women. In the if women in their 20s now were like boomer women were in their 20s, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Let's not even go down that road. I think we all know where that ends.
Utopia. And then the kid would just be in a bassinet next to the bed. Like they didn't constantly worry about, I don't have enough money. And these Zoomers, though they're correct in talking about inflation and student.
Well, that's an important part. Like you didn't complain about not having enough money because you had enough money.
Debt. They still aren't willing to suffer the way Gen Xers were. Suffer, it's fun.
Well, yeah,
that's and there it is. That's the difference between Gen X and millennial right there. That's it. No, thank you. It's not cool to struggle. I think it's important to have things that make you struggle to build character, but struggle for the sake of struggle, like, all right, I guess you got a big dick then, bro, huh? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You got a big old dick. because you worked so hard.
No, you're right. When I see a lot of millennials or Gen Z talk about like why they don't want to have kids, a lot of the time they'll say like, well, income, which is, I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't also be trying to get cost of living down and obviously make.
Shout out to Ronald McMahon. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. The Democrat is right.
Having a family more affordable, like obviously let's do that. But it's like, if we look at the poorer people in society, they are having the most kids. Like, and if you look at the poorest countries, they are also having the most kids. So I think it's fine to say you don't want to have kids because you won't be able to have your same lifestyle if you have it, but it's not, it's disingenuous to say you can't afford to have them, because that's a different thing. And you know, you can't afford to have, it's hard. You're not gonna be able to have the same luxuries, but just be upfront that you're saying you would rather those luxuries than having a kid.
But that's not the case. That's not the case. The money is different. It costs more to have the same stuff. Maybe you're saying the stuff that average people thought was you know, just like, perhaps you're saying going on a vacation once a year is a luxury, but that's not ever what was considered a luxury in the past. That was considered standard, that you should have 1 week, 2 weeks, but you know, and certainly in other countries that's a nightmare. But at least if we're talking about 2 weeks where you're good, that doesn't exist anymore because people can't afford it. And so, you know, take your fucking Gen X boomer bullshit where you think you know what world you're living in and you don't. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You just don't know. It's so boomer. It's so boomer. I did not expect to get so triggered. He's being such a boomer right now. They both are.
I've had this argument 100 times, especially this past month.
Well, just do it. Struggle. It's cool. Fucking loser.
And I'm like, everything you say about your suffering is accurate. Your debt is insane. I didn't have that kind of debt when I was young, especially Canadian universities. Yeah. But the suffering that I endured, I liked it. I slept on a cot next to the boiler in our punk house. So the furnace.
Then there's something wrong with you. If you either you liked it or it was struggling. If you liked it, then shut the fuck up, because me and that other girl were not liking it. If you liked it, then you didn't experience what that girl experienced. You did not like it, or you did not experience what she experienced. Yet again, speaking out of both sides of your mouth.
Would come on right next to me like, ooh, every night. I didn't care about that. We found food. We'd buy.
Okay, again, I had loud neighbors as well. And I also I lived in a frat house. When I wasn't in a frat, I had to learn how to go to sleep while there was in the dubstep era when frat boys were fucking doing their shit. So yeah, I got over that too. I figured out how to fall asleep with that shit going on too. But I didn't fucking like it. Don't fucking pretend you liked it. This is the frustrating thing. And I see a lot of, now that the animus has shifted from, oh, damn millennials to the Zoomers. I see a lot of millennials trying to act like they're not the avocado toast fucking generation too. Y'all don't want to work any harder than the Zoomers do. And for that matter, neither do the Gen Xers. Y'all are just fucking mad because you had to. Now you want everybody else to. This notion that there's some reason that you should want to experience negativity in any way is stupid. Understanding that there needs to be a thing that builds your character, that's different than, I liked it. I like hating my life. What? Stupid. Get the fuck out of my face. CB says money 40 years ago was worth 20 to 40 times as much as it is now. Pick any one thing that's valuable in your house. One thing. Now imagine you have 40 of them! And you're going to tell me a single fucking thing about being 34 years old? You don't have a fucking clue. You may as well have lived on fucking Mars when you were 34. Oh, and now we got the hungry dance. God damn it. God damn it. Context said, this is actually why I don't agree with Gavin a lot. I almost think he's just being contrarian for the sake of being funny. But it's not funny. I mean, who's laughing? If he's making a joke, I mean, y'all tell me. Zoomer, or excuse me, Gen Xers, if there's any boomers, if you're having a ball watching me bug out, then I'll take this. But I don't think so. Could be wrong. Just don't think so. So he said kids could own a couple cars if they can fix themselves working out of a McDonald's. Are you talking now or in the past? Because not now. Once again, he's basically doing woke style comedy, but from the right. Let's look at it through that lens and see if we can back that up at all. Let's see.
Cities. Yeah. But the suffering that I endured, I liked it. I slept on a cot next to the boiler in our punk house. So the furnace would come on right next to me like every night. I didn't care about that. We found food. We'd buy rice like in buckets this big and we'd make chili for like the week.
Hold on. Talking about being in our 20s, being a broke kid, right? Oh, we're so fucking broke, right? A bucket of pasta, because I can't fucking afford to buy boxes. Even in bulk. It doesn't fucking make sense to buy pasta in a box. That's the type of shit that we gotta think about.
Found food, we'd buy rice like in buckets this big, and we'd make chili for like the week, and we'd go, cry. Even like I toured Europe. Oh, you must have been
never had rice or chili? Come on, bro. Oh, you're missing out.
Aristocrat. No, I was gone for 4 months. I just stayed. It was like a punk tour. We stayed at various squats. Like my buddy got body lice. That was just the life we led. And
it was so cool and it was so fun and I love it and it was awesome. I love hating everything.
Do that back then because in your early 20s, you only need 4 hours of sleep. You can get in a fight and then go out for dinner after with like a black eye, like it was nothing.
I think Wamtek's right. I think Wamtek's right. I think he's just being a thing. I don't think this is anything. Michael says I never looked at it as working hard equals hating your life. Like I said, we would blow off steam by playing hard. Balance. That being said, it was, and that's the other thing is that you could do something that you liked. If you're forced to do something, I mean, you're not forced, but if you're not in a position to do something that you don't hate, if you've been sold this lie that you need to borrow all this money and you went to college for a specific degree, but you have to go through all this and this and this and this and this and this before you get to do the actual thing. Again, maybe y'all never have tried that. But I went to school for psychology. I knew I wanted to be a therapist since I was in 8th grade. I was taking AP behavior, not AP, but something behavior class that was a college class that they split over 2 semesters in high school. I took that in 8th grade because I knew this is what I want to do. I go all the way, graduate, get my bachelor's degree, working in 1 month, 4 weeks. Not doing this shit. This is not what it is. And I realized, not that I don't want to, because I always wanted to be the next Dr. Drew. That's what I really wanted to do. And if I could just do that, great. But I saw the corporate ladder that existed, and it was nothing close to what anybody here would consider reasonable. The rungs, it's just not what it used to be. It's just not what it used to be. Better standard of living. Like I said, classic white guy move. Real rice eaters buy their shit in shady woven bags from China. There you go. I'm a bad Asian in this way because I just use minute rice. But that's because I'm fucking broke. Zippy said I'm not fond of pasta or rice with beans. Why? That shit's good. Any film said, I will say that my first house was $56K. Holy shit. My condo has gone up $50K in the year and a half or 2 years whatever that I've lived here. Very nice city with great schools. That entry-level house is now $250,000. Let me ask you a question here, Indie Film. So that's just about 5 times. Are you making 5 times as much as you were making when you bought the house? Probably not, right? So obviously, yes, people need to work hard. Obviously, yes, people need to go through hardship and go and figure out how to discipline themselves and go through shit they don't want to go through. That's a part of life. But pretending that you like it is not a thing that you have to do. I don't know who told anybody that you have to act like you liked the things that you hate. You don't have to do that. You can be like, yeah, that sucked. That's why I found a job where I didn't have to go to an office. I found a job where I don't have to see my boss, but on Zoom for once a month. That's why, even though I had that job, and even that job I didn't like, so I started a YouTube channel. And I'm broke as fuck, but I'm doing the thing because I can see where I will enjoy my time on this earth. If that's not spirituality, I don't know what the fuck else y'all want from an atheist. But thank you so much for hanging out. Big shout out to Michael for the $4.99 opening us. Very much appreciated. And of course, our sponsor of the stream, Indie Film. Thank you so very, very, very much, guys. Don't forget, if you are a member, we have the after party. Head over to Discord. The after party is starting right now. Boom. I am in the after party. The link is in the description. If you are not a member, still join the server. A bunch of us are in there 24/7, having a good old time, interesting conversations. You do have a free chat channel, but if you become a member of the channel, you get access to the full thing. There's other channels there. We do watch parties. We've got our word of the day bots. Shout out to the family if anybody remembers that. And we will be doing a movie night contest soon. And of course, after every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday stream, the after party where we are headed right now. Thank you so very, very much, guys. I really, really appreciate you. Once again, this is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of Common Sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.